You're watching Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, and today's mailbag is sponsored by Mint Mobile, the cell phone plan owned by Ryan Reynolds with plans starting as low as just $15 a month. Yeah, it's a fantastic deal. Start saving some money today over at mintmobile.com/chatsports. Tell you all about them later on in today's show. But you know the drill by now. It's mailbag time, and if you want to be a part of the show, make producer Jeremy's life a little bit easier. You know, he's got a wedding to plan, and he's got a lot going on. Use hashtag Steelers in the comments section to get your questions or comments or ideas, whatever it is, featured a little bit more frequently. All right, first up from Dominic Schrader. The Steelers cut Trey Edmunds, opening up raw spots. Some guys that were out there at the cornerback, offensive line, linebacker, running back, Joe Haden, Chris Harris Jr., J.C. Tretter, Anthony Barr, Justin Jackson. But we end up with Jeremy McNichols, who is comparable to Edmunds. So I agree with you that it is very comparable to Jeremy McNichols. And we've broken that down a little bit in the past on the channel here as well. I do want to emphasize the reasoning why teams often shuffle the bottom of the roster, which is what they did by cutting Edmunds, signing McNichols. It's the bottom of the roster. This move was just like the signing of Doug Costin. Was not about getting a new starter. It was about having some depth for the preseason, for practices. This is not a move to, okay, now we're loaded at running back, or we signed a new starter at corner, offensive line, whatever. It's not what they were going for. This is just shuffling the bottom of the roster. I know that's kind of boring, but remember, you can still sign someone during training camp. Just because you sign McNichols doesn't mean you can't sign somebody else. And my suspicion is Pittsburgh will give the young guys time to show what they can do, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And if it's like, this isn't coming along the way we want it, then you can adjust and go sign a bigger, better name out there. Now, our Steelers channel, is still beating our Browns channel, but not by as much as we once were. They've made up ground. That's allowed Browns Report host and alleged loser Matthew Peterson to say this. Kenny Pickett being fourth in injury sales is ridiculous. You're telling me this bum from the University of Pittsburgh is worth it? All hype. I'll be laughing when Pickett injuries end up at Goodwill. PD is just acting out because his quarterback for the Browns is having actual problems, unlike Pittsburgh right now. But we're still going to troll PD. So everyone, if you are subscribed, let's type FPD in the comments section and show him what's really up from that standpoint. In fact, I'll give you guys time to do it. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, head down there. Bonus points if you type it multiple times. Type in FPD in the comments section. From Goat Fob, the Steelers should do a trade. Mason Rudolph and a third-round pick for Isaiah Simmons. Next year, he will be a beast and the best linebacker in the league. Here's the problem you run into. If you believe you are going to get the best linebacker in the NFL, why on earth would the Cardinals accept a third and a backup quarterback for him? They have no reason to do so. The Cardinals would be just as high on Isaiah Simmons as you are. And this is not the first time, by the way, on a variety of channels we have here at Chat Sports that I've seen an Isaiah Simmons trade question. If you're trading for Isaiah Simmons, I think we're getting like a Minka Fitzpatrick caliber deal. That's what you would have to give up to acquire him, not a third-round pick and your third-string quarterback. So there's no reason for the Cardinals to consider saying yes on that. If you want to trade for Simmons, cool. But you got to make a high-end offer to acquire him. Now, with that in mind, name a player who you want to trade for. Realistic names only, i.e., yes, I would love Aaron Donald for a ham sandwich and Patrick Mahomes for Mason Rudolph straight up. Those aren't realistic. So name a player, realistic names, who you want to trade for. Dustin Crowell? Probably Crowell. Veteran back Alex Collins would be a decent pickup, to be honest. Hope you're not lying to me, Dustin. Wouldn't be too expensive and always seem to give us a little problems. Not sure that you move over Snell or McFarland, though. At any rate, it would be beneficial to have him in the back to eat some carries to save some tread on Najee Harris. In terms of the tread, don't even put Najee Harris on the field in the preseason. He doesn't need it. He's fine. Collins is an interesting name. He has kind of hung around barely on the tertiary of the Seahawks roster the past few years. He's nothing special, but I think he's in the same tier, a little bit better maybe, potentially than Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, etc. So Collins is a fine name. There are a lot of veteran running backs who I think could contribute as an RB2. The issue you do run into is if they're not RB2, well then of course they're RB3. That's how math works. And your RB3 almost always has to play special teams. It's not Collins' MO. And like we mentioned, today's show is sponsored by Mint Mobile, and you don't have to sacrifice any of your coverage, your data, or your speed by making the switch to save some money over to Mint Mobile. They offer unlimited talk and text and high-speed data that runs on the largest 5G network. And their plans start at just $15 a month. You can keep your cell phone, keep your number as well, of course, by the way. That's a big reason why I made the switch over to Mint Mobile. You should too. mintmobile.com/chatsports. You can bring your own phone, and thanks to their eSIM cards, it is super easy to make that switch. No going into a store and spending all day trying to get it set up. You can do it from comfort of your own home. Unlimited premium wireless with plans starting at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/chatsports. That link's in the comments section and in the description of today's video. From Daryl Wright, why don't we just add Latavius Murray? He'd be a solid number 2, or even bring back Bell. I assume you mean Le'Veon Bell. We'll come back to that. Actually, let's lead with the Bell part. No. That doesn't make any... the Lev Bell that we all know from his peak time with the Steelers is long gone. A second running back took his place, and that guy's gone too. We're so far down the line of where Bell's at in his career, he's now a boxer. If you want to sign a one-day deal, KJ Wright style to retire, sure, but he's not going to be a piece for you. Latavius Murray is a more interesting name. It kind of runs into the same issue I mentioned with Alex Collins, where if he's not RB2, there's limited value for a number 3 back who doesn't play special teams and is a bit more expensive than a cheaper random guy, even Anthony McFarland, for example. Murray is not what he was at his peak. It kind of seemed like the end of the road was near with the Ravens. It kind of seemed like Devontae Freeman outplayed him a little bit. But if you don't sign a 1-year cheap deal, no guaranteed money, bring him in to compete, I'm totally down. There's no downside doing that, and I'm always surprised more vets don't at least try that. Maybe that's because they're vets and they don't want to have to fight for a spot. Who knows? Jabari Wilson, what's your early prediction who takes the backup running back role? Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, or Jeremy McNichols? I did love McNichols coming out of Boise State. That he's signing at the end of the start of the preseason training camp, I think he's got the toughest path to obtaining it. I'm still going to go Benny Snell, but I do think it is a very open competition. I could see Durant or Warren at least pushing to be RB3 on this roster. So that is one of the more under-the-radar backups, quote-unquote, that I'm looking forward to seeing in terms of how that all ends up getting played out. Now, do you trust the running back depth? And I want you to be honest on this one. Why for yes and for no? Do you have confidence in the running back room? Sound off for me in the comments section. Probably going to mispronounce the name, so I apologize in advance, but Tone Win? Think that's right? No, I'm not sure. Should not let Trubisky be the starter, because if he's good, the Bears would not have let him go. Joe Haden should stay with the Steelers. So I do believe sometimes in the needs a change of scenery, and that was very much the case in Chicago with Trubisky. And I do think there's some argument to the Matt Nagy sucked. He was bad. Very possible. I still am unconvinced Trubisky's going to be a franchise guy for you. Is he one of the top 40 QBs? Yeah. Is he a franchise guy, i.e. top 15-ish? No, I don't think you're going to get that guy on the field this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But in terms of a short-term starter, I'm fine with that. Bring Pickett along, but still make your entire team built around your first-round pick. If he's not the guy, that's a whole different conversation. Your focus and priority is all about developing Pickett as an organizational philosophy. Yes, win right now if he's your week 1 starter, week 8, week 16, whatever, but Pickett is your long-term priority. As for Haden, I'm still down. I am surprised at this point he is unsigned. I would have thought that somebody would have picked him up by now. That did kind of shock me. That was Hayden's whatever. Like, oh, interesting. Allegedly, he has offers. Maybe he doesn't want to do most of camp. He's older now. Camp's hard on the body. So if he's still unsigned as we get further along, I thought it was dead in the water. Now I'm like, well, maybe there's a chance. And especially if there's an injury in the secondary. Maybe that's what Haden's waiting for somewhere. But if you lose a key guy, absolutely go sign Joe Haden. Now, if you made it to the end of today's video, join the crew. Type in "Here we go" in the comment section. We'll be sure to show you guys some love.